afternoon. Happy New Year's and welcome back to the Black Robe podcast. Ooh, Carol, it's so good to see you. How are you? How was your Christmas and your New Year's?
Well, listen, no matter how good mine was, I know for sure yours was better because I saw you, girl.
Where'd you see me?
You were hanging out in Beverly Hills and Rodeo Drive, and you were just on it. And then I saw you doing your real estate promotions, and so and here you are stopping by doing the podcast on your way out of town.
Well, you know what? Going back to Christmas, my mom and I, we usually exchange gifts, right? But I'm older. She's feeling younger because she's hit that age in her life where she's like, let's have some experiences. Let's travel. We didn't really travel a lot when I was younger. And now I can actually pay myself. She don't have to pay for me. So she was like,
you can carry your own backpack and buy your own ticket.
Yep, I'm not her broke best friend anymore. I can contribute. So she was like, yeah, let's go to California. And I love to travel. So I'm always happy to show my mom. My mom's been to California. She lived in California for a part of her life. So it's just nice to kind of go back for her. And I've never seen it during Christmas time. Like I've always gone during the summer, or it's always nice in California, but yeah, Beverly Hills, them people with the money, they know how to do Christmas, okay? They got the lights going all the way up the palm trees. It was nice.
And those lights don't come from Walmart either. And no shade for those of us who buy our lights from Walmart.
Yeah, those are the good lights.
I mean, those people have set designers doing their yards.
Yeah, right. It's no joke down there. It was really nice. And then, when I came back, I just told myself, I had so much energy. I told myself, I'm going into 2022 with a plan. Like, I know where I want to be. So in order to execute that, I need to put my steps in order, right? And a lot of people kind of do the resolution thing, but I don't really like the arbitrary January 1st, when I need to just press the, just go, right? Just press the gas. And so that's kind of what I did after I came back from my trip. And yeah, I met with a videographer. I'm definitely pouring into my own business as a real estate agent. And that's what it takes, is really investing in yourself, and then other people will invest in you back. So
I have to, this is perfect because I've been thinking a lot about this over the holidays, because every young person I know practically between like 21 and 35 has a side hustle.
You got to.
Or a side gig. It's like, does anybody just have one regular full-time job anymore? I guess that is like so not in vogue.
Yeah.
And does anybody want to have a government pension anymore? Or a 401k plan, all the stuff that my generation, it's like, we got to have, the defined benefit plan and the 401k and the medical. Yeah. And it's like your generation is hustle. But you're not so interested in that structured get up, go to the office, stay there 8 to 5 every day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And get a watch at the end of 40 years. You don't seem to be interested in that. And I'm wondering, is it the pandemic that's causing people to say, we got to make a break with tradition on how we get work done? Or is this a generational thing?
Yeah, I think it might be a combination of a couple of things. And I've actually pondered this question myself, because you do see this increase in just entrepreneurs, business owners, small business owners. People are really putting their name out there just as a brand, right? I think one thing, my generation, right, the 25, 35-year-olds, we don't really trust that Social Security is going to be around by the time we get to 65. So like,
interesting.
The question of, are we going to ride out this job for retirement that might not even be there because of inflation or whatever reason, politics, right? So we're not going to really rely on that. A lot of people don't want to wait till they're 65 either to retire. A lot of people want to live right now and travel right now.
Don't we all? Everybody wants to retire at 30.
So I think having a business, and then people have seen other businesses through social media. So I think technology is a huge factor here. Technology is why we are so impatient. We're so used to having this, just immediate reward, immediate gratification. If we don't know something, we can just go to Google and ask. We don't have to read a book. We just Google, point it out right there, right? So we don't want to necessarily wait on possibilities. I think that's why people are like, hey, I'm going to do this right now. I can reach 1 million people if I have 1 million followers. You can sell something for $1 and reach 1 million people, and there's $1 million, right? Yeah. That's what Amazon's doing. Yeah, or you can sell something that's, $1,000 and reach 100 people, right? $100,000, just like that. So it's just about, and technology's really opened up our networks and just people that we can connect with. Speaking of travel, I'm meeting some people in New York, some other Black real estate agents. I'm launching a business this year that wants to provide a platform for other Black creatives. So it's definitely so great to have. Technology is a double-edged sword.
So I will, this is good. I do think you're right. This is the second conversation I've had this week. In fact, it was just yesterday, Sunday, I guess, that my little 19-year-old granddaughter was saying, well, Nana, you might as well go ahead and get your Social Security right now because it may not be there for your entire lifetime. Because frankly, it's going to run out in about 40 years. It's like, well, snap. I'm going to go ahead on and get my money out of the system. I've been paying into that system since I was 14 years old. And so I guess I better go ahead and get it out. Now, here you come with that. So if that's the mindset, then what is the plan that young people have for when they're old? If they get it all today at 20, what are they putting in place to be sure that when they're 70, if there's no Social Security and no defined benefit plan, what will there be for them?
Right. Yeah. Financial literacy is so important, and business owners understand that, because business owners, they have to pay taxes. If they want to purchase homes, they need to be on paper, and part of my job as a real estate agent is to be an educator, so it's like, you don't get around the retirement questions. People still want to have families, so they need to meet with accountants. They need to meet with financial advisors, and be smart people that are, a lot of people nowadays, especially a lot of people I'm seeing my age, they're looking into business credit over their own individual credit. They're caring more about their business than they are about it's kind of like, okay, me as a person, this doesn't exist. I'm 100% invested in this business, and because they see the benefits that come out of it, right? And when you do that, you realize, okay, yeah, if I'm going to have employees, then they're going to want retirements. You're building empires. You have to think like that. It's really a mindset shift. I think it's less of the job security, and it's more of the investing into yourself and building something that you own and can operate and decide how it runs.
I have to tell you, this has been one of those weeks in the work that we're doing at the IBJ, and I am so glad that I can say to people, the only boss we have is our client. And there's something really liberating about being able to do things the way you believe they should be done and not have to apologize for that, because nobody else can take your vocation from you. People can take jobs, but they can't take your purpose.
That's right.
For being on the planet. So when you're doing something that's purposeful something you created, something that is personal to you and that you have a
Mhm.
passion for,
Yeah.
as long as you can make a living at it, right?
And it's sustainable, right? As long as you can sustain it, make money, that's important, right? That's the social entrepreneurship, the word I like to, throw around, because people think that when you do something that you're passionate about, or when you do something for the community, that you can't make a living off of it at the same time. You're just doing things right. You're just actually helping people. It all comes back. Money flows. People have to understand that, can't hold
Yeah,
on to all
I
your
want to
money. It's
be
gotta
in the
flow.
flow.
I
I
want to be in
definitely,
the flow. Let's be in the flow.
right, right, which is part of our philosophy, right? Because we open our hand and
We
allow money
give
to
up.
flow
Mhm.
through the IBA.
Exactly.
We don't just hold it, tight, and
Mhm.
nothing out also means nothing in. That's what
Right.
my grandmama said. So you got to allow some of it out and water, and
Yeah.
seed into other people's lives and livelihood. So what's the role of education then? If
Oh.
everybody is door dashing and lifting, and well, what's the point of getting a good education? Like you and I, we both went and got a good education, but frankly, if people feel like they can just do a pop-up business in
Mhm.
the Tacoma Mall parking lot, then
Yeah. Yep.
what how do we explain
Mhm.
why we think young people should also get some education?
Absolutely. Education is so important. It is key, because it saves you time, and it saves you money. Okay. If you know something, then you can save yourself time, right? Just because or even if you acquire somebody with a service that can consult you because they know something, you can go out there, and because you're ambitious and determined, you might trial and error, but you might eventually get there. But if you have the education, you save all of that time failing, or falling
Mhm.
down, because you had the education, or you knew somebody that had the education. You were open to learning. That can be applied to anything, no matter if you're selling a product or a service. If you don't know about it, and you don't know really why you're doing this, right? Then yeah, your business is not going to be successful. You're going to keep failing at it. I mean, I think
What about the
education.
debt though? What about the debt? That's what everybody's saying. Well, is it worth it these days to go into debt, get a 4-year degree, or in my case, 12 years of degrees?
Mm-hmm.
It took all total. Um, is it worth it to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and have all the loans and all of that stuff
Mm-hmm.
when all Amazon want to pay is $16 an hour?
Yeah, well, I guess that depends on what type of education we're talking about. Nowadays, we're starting to see education look a lot different than we've seen it all this time. Before, the only real type of education was through a university, was going to a school and accumulating a lot of debt, unless you want to be. I tell people, even though I have a bachelor's degree and I still want to pursue law, just because that's always been something that I'm very passionate about myself, unless you want to do law or medicine, you don't, or I mean a trade, right? Then you got to go to that type of school. But to be a teacher nowadays, you don't need to get your bachelor's degree. I mean, we're seeing things just look a little bit different. A lot of people are starting to independently teach. So it's not through institutions, it's just through their own, back to social media with these mastery classes. I mean, you can learn stuff on YouTube nowadays. I mean, you can read, you can pick up a book and read it. That's still old school, but you can, hey, I read. Okay, I'm reading a really good book right now.
Reading is a lost art. Oh,
No,
yeah.
I think you
Love
gave me
that
this for
book. That was our
Christmas, Carol.
Blackoween. Yeah, that was
Or
one of our
Blackoween.
Blackoween books.
But
Yeah.
I'm saying, just the knowledge other people have, that's education right there. So unless you want to go into a profession that requires the 8 years, because we still need doctors, still need surgeons, we still need neurobiologists, and just, all lawyers and doctors and judges. We need that to uphold our society.
And lawyers and judges and doctors need plumbers, gardeners.
Yep. Absolutely.
People that come in and help them get the cobwebs down out of their.
Exactly. And those are all independent businesses. Why do we have to hire out, buying locals?
Plumbers make a huge amount of money. I had my little water spray problem in the garage when I got home.
Okay, you opening up to the people.
Oh, Lord. Listen. Yeah. I mean, the worst possible scenario you could think of, coming home from being out of town, and your garage is flooded with water, and water is spraying out of the heater. I never realized how incredibly important plumbers,
electricians,
electricians,
and I'm telling you, they like
people who know how to dry out the wall, carpenters who came and cut, and plastered, and painters. Those trades, without those trades, this lawyer would be a very miserable person right now.
Yeah.
With no heat, freezing cold. And so we all need each other. There's room for all kinds of people, and not everybody has to have a college degree to be well. But I'm just wondering how people get really good at any one thing if they're doing 40 different jobs at the same time.
Yeah, well, I don't think people are doing 40 different jobs. I mean, eventually,
but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, they have to sustain their life. And this is something, if we're talking internally, can we have a Black moment, Carol? This is the Black Girl podcast. Can we have a Black moment?
Yes.
Okay, so there is something I've noticed and observed, just in Black family structures, that once the child turns 18, they're just kicked out the nest. Okay. They are, my mom I was a full ride academic scholarship to University of Washington. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm not trying to call you out. I love you, but
she's watching.
I know. Well, it was the first summer going back home, and she was like, I don't know where you think you going, but you gonna have to find you a room to rent or call your dad. She said, you're 18. So, and comparatively to other, I studied abroad in Italy. So Italian, they live together till they're 40, until the son can buy a house for his family or the daughter gets married, right? It's same like that in a lot of Ethiopian, African households, Filipino, Vietnamese, we see that in other cultures.
My family in Georgia lived like that, girl. So maybe that's,
So maybe this is just Pacific Northwest Black people. I don't know. But I think that's why it makes it so much harder for us to not have to work 40 jobs, because we are trying to sustain ourselves and start a business. That's hard enough for a 40-year-old grown person, Now
you are on to something here, I do believe, because there's a growing number on the downside of things, a growing number of young people who are out there without a house, a roof over their heads, partly because, there are things going on in their home like domestic violence and neglect and abuse, but also partly because of what you're talking about, where the clock on the wall said you're now 18 and you got to go. And they're not ready.
Yeah.
And they hit 21 and they're still not ready, not for that kind of responsibility. And it may take 2 or 3 roommates for them. I could not believe how expensive it was when my little cousin came looking around to rent an apartment.
Yeah.
$1,800 a month for a little 2-bedroom apartment.
Right.
When you're 25, how are you doing that?
Yeah.
It's a mortgage payment just to rent an apartment in Pierce County now.
Absolutely. There's a lot of roommates, co-living spaces, people have gotten creative with it. There are still some families. I'm not going to say all families are like my mom, I guess we just
Or
tough love,
mine.
or yours. There are families, that do, but I just say if we don't, at least prepare our young adults to exit the nest by, match savings accounts or, some sort of something to give them a foundation, a job, a career, some connections that will yield them income, then of course it's going to be really hard. And Black people, we're resilient. That's why you still see all these new up and coming Black millionaires, and because they're self-taught and, they're entrepreneurial. So it's like, we're resilient, but.
Well, I will say this too, and your mother's and my generation, we, like I said, I've been putting into the Social Security system since I was 14. Most young people today do not start working when they're 14, 15, 16. And maybe part of what happens is then when they get to 20, they gotta double down because we had a 5-year head start on them. I had my first regular job at the JCPenney's candy counter when I was 16.
What were the child labor laws back then? They have 14-year-olds working at,
No. I was 16. I was 16
okay.
at JCPenney's. Actually, my first job was when I was 12, working in those strawberry fields down in Puyallup, girl. Let me tell you. So, you wouldn't catch me necessarily doing it now, but I think when you came out of families like ours that didn't have very much, you developed that work ethic. But our children and grandchildren had everything given. And so there is an absence there of that, maybe that same kind of drive and ambition that we had to have in order to even have lunch money. If we wanted, if we wanted more than one pair of tennis shoes, we had to go babysit and make the money to buy it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it seems like now, though, this generation is like, not only are we going to catch up to what y'all did, we're going to work twice as hard. They're, like I said, you were all working 2 and 3 jobs at the same time.
Yeah.
We weren't really doing that in our, at least I didn't do it in my, once I got into a career, it was just one full-time job. That's it.
Yeah, because we're not out here to settle. We want more. We want to drive the luxury cars, and we want to wear the designer clothes, and we want to travel. It is. And we want to, have the jewelry or what, and hey, not everybody. Some people are happy with just, living. I don't hang around those people. I hang around people that are the business owners that I know. They have big goals, big dreams, big visions, just like myself. And we're not settling just for, the paycheck every other week. We want to, we're not settling for the 80 hours a year in vacation. We want a vacation every month,
Yeah. But you have to have some freedom to be able to come and go, right? So usually when you run your own business, you work even harder than when you go in an office every day. So I want to know how you balance it, having multiple jobs and yet still being able to have that element of recreation and relaxation that is so important to y'all's generation. Because baby boomers were just straight up workaholics. That was our claim to fame. And so your generation is like, no, we're not gonna have no heart attacks at 45.
Yeah, well,
we're gonna relax and enjoy and work and relax and enjoy. So I'm wondering how you balance it out when you've got 2-3 business ventures and you also want relaxation and recreation.
Yeah, well, I take this laptop with me everywhere I go. I can do my work from my phones, from my laptops. Everything's pretty much remote. the technology helps with the flexibility and the traveling. I can work from, I'll be working in New York, you know, I like still putting people on my calendar. I'll just at nighttime be in New York and not in Tacoma, Washington. And that's how I'm able to kind of have my cake and eat it too. I think also when you love what you do, I don't count the hours that I put in to IBJ or, you know, to real estate, because I literally love this work. It's so impactful. And I think that's what a lot of people are starting to do too. You know, they're finding where their hearts and passions are, and then they're seeing how they can monetize that.
Well, you know, this is a beautiful tribute, I think, to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because it was all about the dream of his children being able to live out their true purpose, and whether that's door dashing or selling homes or working for the government, or, you know, being a full-time student, or even a full-time at-home caregiver for your children or your parents.
Right.
However you choose to live your life. Our hope for you as part of the upcoming Martin Luther King holiday is that you are living the dream, living out your dream, free from injustice, free from bigotry, and that you get to live like Anzhane. If you choose to, you can be bi-coastal with your laptop, right? And have multiple ways of expressing your vocation. So you be safe on your journey.
I will. I'm vaccinated. Okay. Got the booster. So we're good.
Yeah. So what do you have to do to, do you still have to have a test to fly?
No.
Because do you have to show your vaccine card?
Yep. You got to have your vax card. Don't try to go to New York if you're not vaccinated, because they are checking everywhere, at the, you know, gas station, at the movie theater, at the restaurants. I mean, you just need your vax card.
So even your therapy dog got to have a vaccine, huh?
Don't even try it. I thought they couldn't spread it. I don't know. Let's not get into this rabbit hole. We're going to see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Have a great rest of your week, and happy Martin Luther King Day. Okay, guys, stay safe. Carol, you have any last words?
Just good night and be safe. Please wear your masks, and if you can, get your booster shots.
All right.
And we'll see you next time on the Black Robe.
See ya.